My best friend and I, Bob, we had just come home from roller skating, which we usually did on Friday nights, Saturday afternoons. And when we got to his parents' house, he said he wanted to go up and take a shower. And I said, okay, I'm going to go put on the TV, watch some Monty Python. He went up. I turned on Channel 12, WHYY in Philadelphia, as I always did, to watch Monty Python. And I didn't recognize anybody in the show. It also wasn't very funny. But I was intrigued. So I watched it. And he came down and he said, "What are you watching?" And I said, "I don't know. But it's good, whatever this is. I like it. Do you have a TV guide?" So Bob went and got the TV guide, handed it to me, and I started scrolling through. And Friday, 11 o'clock or whatever time it was, it said Doctor Who, Inferno, Part 2. Might have been Part 3. Part 2 or 3, I forget. I said, "Oh, it's a show called Doctor Who. Have you ever heard of it?" He's, "No, I never heard of it." "It's interesting. Let me see when it's on again." "Oh, tomorrow. It's on again tomorrow. Let me check next week. Is it on again?" "Oh, it's on again next Friday, too. Inferno. As a matter of fact, here's the book right here. Inferno was my first episode, and that's what got me hooked onto Doctor Who. Well, watching Doctor Who on a weekly basis was not like what it is now. I didn't have the internet. I didn't have a TiVo. I didn't have DVR. Didn't have instant access to anything. So in order for me to watch Doctor Who, I had a couple options. I could wait until next week to watch it, or see it on another channel, as we had it on 3 channels. Technically 2, but 3. Um, or I could record it onto a VHS tape, which is what I did. I would record them on VHS tapes, and I would have like 6 stories on one tape. And I had a bunch of them like filled. But unfortunately, many years later, an apartment I was living in flooded. The storage area flooded. And I lost all my VHS tapes in that. But they would be something to see now with all the pledge breaks and all, because I've recorded them too. I didn't stop to record. I think what got me starting to actually start collecting, it started with the VHS tapes, recording the shows, and actually I had shelves in my bedroom filled with these VHS tapes. But I also went a little past that. I would take the VHS tapes, put them in the VCR, and hook a tape recorder up to my VCR for the audio. And I would audio tape all the episodes. And so I had not just VHS tapes filled up, I had audio tapes filled up too of each episode. And when I went to bed every night, I would put on one of the tapes, one of the stories, and I would just imagine it in my head, what I was hearing of the actual story. And that was the start of my collection. My Doctor Who collection started with the videotapes and the audio tapes. Back then, I was definitely on my own with it. I mentioned the show to some friends in school, and I remember one friend, his name was Darren Zeiger, and he also was into the show, but we didn't discover that until years later. We talked about the show, but we weren't that close as friends that we would go to a convention together or anything like that. We more had music more in common than we did the show. The only thing it did as far as like routines is I wanted to be home in time to watch Doctor Who and record it. I didn't trust the VCR to program correctly to record the show for me. And sometimes shows run late. So I wanted to make sure, I was home to record the show. So if we went roller skating, I kind of wanted to be home earlier. I would leave earlier to get home earlier to record Doctor Who, to make sure I was home one time. Um, and then, of course, it was on Saturdays also, so I had to be up. I had to be available to watch it on Saturdays. I kind of want to say it was on around 4 in the afternoon, but I could be wrong on that. And then it was on another channel Saturday nights, channel 23. So I did have a routine where I had to be home to watch it. And if I recorded episode or part 1 of an episode, I definitely had to be available the next 4 weeks to get the other episodes, or 3 weeks to get the other episodes. So yeah, my schedule kind of was based around Doctor Who on Fridays and Saturdays at that point. The first time I realized about Doctor Who fans and fan clubs and all that other stuff was uh, during one of the pledge breaks on Channel 12. I don't know when it was, what episode was airing. I couldn't tell you all that stuff. But I do know that during the pledge break, Ed Cunningham came on and he was talking about, you pledge this much, you get this, you pledge that much, you get that. And we can bring, great programming to you. If you're a fan of Doctor Who, to get more episodes, please pledge your money. But behind him were people all dressed in Doctor Who stuff. They had the buttons, they had scarves, they had hats. They were just wearing anything they could that was Doctor Who's shirts. And I realized that, wow, there's other people who are really into the show. And during the broadcast, they talked about the people of the fan club behind him, which I think was the Unearthly Children fan club. I believe. I could be wrong. And that's when I realized, hey, I'm not just being fanatical. There's other people here who are also. It's not just me, How do I join this fan club? Joining a fan club back then, you either had to meet them at a convention and fill out the form and give it to them, or you had to mail in the form, or write them a letter. And there were many different fan clubs back then. I ended up becoming a member of the Unearthly Children, Pridonians of Princeton, Friends of the Doctor, and of course the Doctor Who Appreciation Society, and the official Doctor Who USA fan club. Some had dues, some didn't. I don't remember which ones had what. But yeah, in order to join back then, that's what you had to do. You couldn't get on the internet because we didn't have internet. You had to physically hand them a piece of paper or mail in your request. I believe I did all of mine at the conventions. I think I signed up at the conventions. I could be wrong on that. The first time I was in a room full of Doctor Who fans was the Tom Baker convention in 1984. He appeared at the Center Hotel in Philadelphia. It was my first convention. And oh my God, everybody wearing scarves and hats and just walking around talking. People offering you a jelly baby. That was the first time I tried a jelly baby. Somebody just came up to me and said, "Want a jelly baby?" He was all dressed as Tom Baker. And I was like, "Yeah, sure, absolutely. Hey, this is good." But it was just like, I suddenly felt like I wasn't alone. The first moment I walked into that hotel for this convention, I was just totally blown away. And it was just so awesome to see other people into the show, probably more than I was. Definitely more than I was. It wasn't a probable, it was definite. And then they had the rooms with the dealers, merchandise. You could buy anything you wanted that was Doctor Who that was available at the time. Just a big room full of dealer tables and fan club tables and Um, just it was just incredible. And if you're a Doctor Who fan and you've never been to a science fiction convention, you need to go at least once. It's worth it, trust me. Meeting Tom Baker was I was so starstruck. I was, even today when I think back on how I was seeing him in person. Even though I was all the way in the back in the balcony section, when he came out on stage, I was like, oh my God, that's him. That's Tom Baker. And he was not the first celebrity I met, but he was the first celebrity I actually heard of that I met. I met Guy Lombardo back in the 70s, but I didn't know who he really was back then. I just knew he was famous. But meeting Tom Baker, that was a moment, let me tell you. If you get to go to a convention and you meet your first celebrity from the show, there's just something very special about that moment that makes you go, wow, Again, I can't stress this enough. Go to a convention. You got to. But meeting Tom Baker I didn't fully understand everything he was saying because he spoke in such a way, as he would call it, bohemian, that I didn't fully grasp what he was saying all the time. But he was funny. He was personable. He was very likable. Just a really, really great experience. But being a fan now is so easy. You just go on the internet and you can bring up videos on YouTube, or you can stream your shows. You can you can watch Tharies or the Confused Adipose and watch, or what's the other one called, Who Nation or something. You can watch them. You can buy the books. There's just so many ways to access it. If you want to buy something Doctor Who, go on Amazon or BBC America shop and buy whatever it is you want to get that's Doctor Who related. Back then, we didn't have that option. We had to go to the bookstore if we wanted a book. And not all bookstores carried it, by the way. You had to go to a specific bookstore in your area that might carry it. Or you had to go to the conventions to get that scarf you wanted, or knit it yourself. Or like me, have a friend who made it for you and gave it to you. But that was it. That's all you had. So being a fan in the 80s was not as easy as it is now. You had to really be a fan. You had to make an effort to be a fan. Now I can just easily just go on the internet and sign up on a fan club, and it's basically a Facebook page. But back then, it wasn't a Facebook page. It was an actual page that was mailed to you because you were a member of a fan club, a newsletter that would come maybe once a week, once a month, or once every couple months. If you wanted to talk Doctor Who with other people, you didn't have chat rooms to go to, or like anybody uses chat rooms now, or Zoom. You had to go to one of the fan club meetings and talk with people and face to face. And let me tell you something. If I had the choice now of being a fan the way it is now versus the way it was then, I would go back then and be a fan because it was more personable, and being a fan meant something. It's not the same today. All that magic is gone. It's lost. So that was 10 questions about my experience as a Doctor Who fan in the 80s. But you want more than that, right? Of course you do. Join us for episode 2 of the series, which would actually be episode 7, as we get 10 more questions about what it was like to be a Doctor Who fan in the 1980s.